Until recently, our forks came with a Travelizer air spring, meaning that you could change travel by 30 mm by attaching a shock pump and then turning the stanchion. One turn meant decrease or increase of travel by 1 mm. We recently updated this system to the Travelizer. It still allows you to change travel by 30 mm, but it's done in a slightly different way. Also, you can still change the progression of your fork, either with the standard bottom cap, one with more volume for less progression, and one with less volume for more progression. And to change travel with the Travelizer, you need these different spacers. And depending on the travel you want, you put in a different spacer. If you are not sure if your fork has a Travelizer or Travelizer, there are two distinct features that you can tell from the outside. Previously we had one sec ring per fork leg. Since we have changed to the Travelizer, there are two O-rings and both are on the left air spring side. But the best giveaway is the color of the green pin. For the Travelizer it was more like a darkish green, and on the Travelizer it's more like an apple colored lighter green. So if your fork has this one, lighter green, then you have a Travelizer. If it's the darker one, you have a Travelizer or green H, to make it really confusing. To change the travel of your fork, you obviously need one of those spacers. They are included with your fork. And you need a few tools. You need a pair of snap ring pliers and an 11 mm wrench. And some lubrication oil for the air chamber. The minimum and maximum travel of your fork depends on the model. Here, for example, we have an air shaft for an edge fork, so the travel goes from 150 to 180 mm. And depending on which spacer is mounted inside the air unit, you have a different travel. You have minimum travel, plus 10 mm, plus 20 and plus 30 mm. So in this case, the green spacer is installed, so we have plus 20. And since we have an edge fork, we are at 170 mm. To change the travel of your fork, you first have to remove the lower leg from your fork. In the video description you find a link to a video which shows you how you get to this stage. First we have to release all the air. So make sure the fork is fully deflated. Then take a pair of snap ring pliers and remove the snap ring. Make sure you do not scratch the piston rod. Then we have to take out the seal head. Usually it comes out fairly easily, like in this case. If it's really stuck, then pulling harder isn't really the solution, but it helps to kind of massage the seal head a little bit, wobble a bit around, and then it should pop out easily. Be prepared for some lubrication oil, so it's best to put a rag underneath and then take it out. Wipe off the excess oil. And as you can see here, at the moment there's a red spacer installed. So this air unit is set to the maximum travel. So now we want to change from plus 30 to plus 10. So we have to first remove this one. There's a threaded section in here which is backed up against the snap ring. So we first have to release it. So it's easiest if you take an 11 mm wrench and down here grab onto this silver thing, and then you can back up the air piston so that the snap ring is free. Then again take the snap ring pliers and remove the snap ring. And then you can rotate the whole mechanism and turn it clockwise to remove the spacer. And And now we want to change travel to plus 10 millimeter. So we put in the blue one, and then we can back up the piston rod, and you will see that eventually it will lift the spacer out of this unit. So now you see it's rising, so back it up a little bit so that you expose this groove for the snap ring. Put the snap ring back in. Make sure it's fully seated in the groove, and then back up the threads again so that the spacer sits flush against the snap ring. And make sure the seals are clean and there's no dust or any particles. Then place it back into the lower leg. At this point you're building up pressure, so you make your life a lot easier if you deflate the valve while pushing it in. Since we drained out the lubrication oil when pulling out the piston, it's best to put in an air fluid again. 2 milliliters per air chamber is a suitable amount. Put it in, then pop the seal head back in place and make sure you put in the snap ring again. Again, be careful not to scratch any surfaces and make sure it's fully seated. Then put the fork back up to pressure, reinstall the lower leg, and you're good to go.